What up, what up, what up? It's Ray V. Let's get it. Sad boy quote of the day. I'll do a course today. This is the first one I ever made. Without you, I don't know how to live. Without you, I don't know who I am. Without you, I don't know how to breathe. Without you, I don't think I can. Without you, I don't know how to live. Without you, I don't know who I am. Without you, I don't know how to breathe. Without you, I don't think I can. So that was the chorus. My bad. I had to say it twice in that voice, but that's how I sang it. You know what time it is. It's time to decipher that thing. All right, man. So I started writing this pretty soon after I moved back home. I quite literally did not know how to live, who I was, how to breathe. I literally did not think I could. This is pretty literal, so I'll just spit some insight from my brother's wife mainly, and I guess for Feeling Squad. 15 years, man. Literally had gone around 15 years texting her, talking to her, if not seeing her every single day. Moved back home and I was like, damn, I don't even know what to do now. Didn't even have to charge my phone for days at a time. Stopped playing games. Maybe the first week I binge shows and just rotted on the bed. A lot of times just suffering in silence. Nights were the worst because I couldn't sleep right for weeks. I was even having trouble sleeping before I moved back home. That's what what am I to do at 2 in the morning bars literally stem from this course I wrote at 2 a.m. If I was able to doze off, or made it all the way till sunrise, she's just replaying in my head in my mind the whole time. If I was lucky enough to dream, she was there, nothing crazy, smiling, sometimes walking in the park, holding hands. But then I'd wake, turn over, she's not there, pillow's empty, smell is gone. That's a bar. That's a different lyric, though. We were together for almost 15 years, so I didn't even know who I was as a person, alone, solo, not in a duo anymore, not in a relationship anymore. We were also like 12 when we got together, so we like literally grew together through our childhood. We trained each other's frontal lobes, nervous systems, all that. I didn't know how to breathe because she was the reason I was even taking breaths. She was my reason. I was going through a tough time for months before we broke up, no job, as I went with her to different states for every 3 months for her residency. I took like a whole 6-month Google certificate course thing for cybersecurity before the residency stuff started, and I was trying to get a new career and everything. So when she started her residencies, I was spending all day applying and studying just in case I ever get a call, getting interview questions and all that. Studying for other certificates that I probably had to get. I would do all that as she worked all day long, and then I would have no news to tell her when she got home. Most of these places didn't even reply until we were in the next state, whole 3 months later. It was pretty depressing. I lost a 10, 11 year routine of literally working. I've been working since like my junior year of high school, so it was really weird. I lost that. I started to lose myself, my vibrance, who I was, like I've been saying before. And she'd come home and my face would light up. I was probably putting all the weight of the world on her shoulders when she had her own things to worry about, trying to be a doctor and all. Money for me was tight, but I still smiled when I was paying rent, when we were going out and all that. But you could see something was wrong. I stopped dressing up, wore the same clothes, the same Crocs. Probably even stopped talking as much, but honestly, I don't even know anymore. I probably hit like 310 pounds, like literally, like is a bad time if I'm being for real. Maybe that's why I was wearing the same clothes. That was the only clothes that would fit. After that, I moved home, and not on some KYS stuff, but I didn't even know how. Didn't even know if I could do anything anymore. There were days where I just didn't feel, literally. Days, weeks. I didn't want to move. Contemplated if it was worth spending energy to get out of bed, to go to the bathroom. Stopped eating. If I was eating, it physically hurt my stomach, and not like I was forcing myself, but I was, throwing up. like in a reaction to it. If I did have the energy to do anything, I'd walk in a circle for hours on end, 3, 4, 5 hours a day, just staring at the ground. At least I was moving, It was the darkest times, but as you can see me now, smiley, happy, passionate, vibrance, baby. It does get better. The tough times are still tough, but, at least I started to feel the good times again. And that's on y'all, for real. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Alright, F ain't for feels, it's for fantasy. So let's get into our deepest fantasies, y'all. Today I'm going to try to convince you guys to play Dynasty Fantasy Football. If you've already dipped your toes into the Dynasty genre, I'm going to convince you that you can go even harder, have even more fun, with a more engaging mindset, and I guarantee it. So, for those of you who don't know, Dynasty Fantasy Football is just a fantasy football league, but you get to keep your players forever. They are on your team for life. They're your guys for life. Obviously, you still get to drop and add, trade, and draft players, but the sentiment is more like a real-life GM, but in the fantasy world. It has completely different vibe, experience, strategies, and is much, much more rewarding than a typical redraft league. The league starts with a startup draft. The two main leagues that people will play in are either 1QB or Superflex League. I much prefer a Superflex League. It gives more value to the QB position. That league will have a position labeled Superflex, and you can play a QB, wide receiver, running back, or tight end there. So, since QBs typically score more points, they matter more in this league. There's usually nobody on the waivers. It pushes them up in the startup draft, pushes them up in rookie drafts. Even Shador was playing very consistently last year when he became a starter in most leagues. 1QB, just like the name states, 1QB, one QB position, meaning that QB should still be on your waivers all year long, unless you got them QB holders in your league. I love those guys. I'm one of those guys. Also, get rid of kickers and defense, please. Maybe dip your toes into IDP, but that'll be a different topic for a different day. But in the startup drafts, you will draft players that you get to keep from year to year, basically for life. This is the only time you'll ever endure a long draft, typically around 18 to 25 rounds, typically in the entirety of this league's lifespan. After this, the only drafts you'll have after that are once a year rookie drafts. And they're usually only 4 rounds, 3-4 rounds, depending on your roster, how deep your roster bench is. No more trying to find a suitable time for everyone to meet up or lock in for an hour or two yearly. With a running clock, on these rookie drafts, 10-15 minutes, pretty easy. Pretty easy to get everyone together for that 10-15 minutes. You also have the option for doing longer draft times per pick. My favorite is 24-hour per pick, just because it's so low maintenance. It opens it up for trades and all. All my league mates we're all grown. We're all in different lines of work, working at different times. A bunch of us are in different time zones, so it's really hard to get everyone together at the same time. So that's my favorite 24 per hour pick. Is my favorite thing to do. The main function of a Dynasty League is the long-term strategy mindset and team-building aspect. Of course, the main goal of a redraft league is to win this year and this season. But in Dynasty, you're building a franchise, so you don't necessarily have to be winning the title, or that doesn't have to be your goal each and every year. Maybe you want to make a title push this year, but you got 2 superstars who got injured, Nakua and Neighbors maybe, and you could easily switch your goals any time of the season and still stay engaged without the worry of having to win every single week. In a case like this, you can evaluate other rookies or younger players, work out deals to get rid of aging veterans and acquire future draft picks, while you ethically tank and go for that all-elusive 101 draft pick, first round or first overall pick in a rookie draft. This will probably be the closest you'll ever feel to running a real NFL team. Quick ramble on when I said ethically tanking. Personally, I think it's lame that if you don't set your lineups or you specifically play backup players or backup QBs, you play the 5th string wide receiver, you play all your worst players, you're benching, say Nakua's not hurt, you're benching Nakua for, Calvin Ridley, putting up 0 points, probably not even playing that week. I hate people like that. It just makes it lame, and you add more work to the league. All the problems get brought to your commissioner, and your commissioner just has to deal with it, and not everyone's going to agree on everything, so your commissioner's going to take all this heat. This should always be brought up before the year begins, because trying to work on it in the beginning of the year is it's really bad. It doesn't work. I'll tell you from experience. You'll never get everybody agreeing. It's always going to be somebody saying this is not fair because of this. But the 101 should really go to the worst team, the worst player, worst commissioner. Sorry, worst league mate you have that year, or worst team, I should say. The most functional, there's ways to combat it or try to combat it, but nothing's 100%. I've seen the most functional way probably is through Sleeper. You can see how your league lines up by max points for instead of the weekly lineup. So max points for is basically the max points a team would have scored all season with the most optimal lineup. It'll just automatically put everyone into the most optimal lineup, give them 100%, the best points they could have got that week, and it'll add them up at the end of the season, and it'll show you right there, and you can rank them from right there. I would only use the max points for ranking list for the non-playoff teams, though. It just makes it the most even, most fair usually. This would ensure that even through lineup shenanigans, the absolute worst, lowest scoring team would be given the first overall pick. I definitely find it easier when people just play their guys, like how you would in real life. Real tanking teams, trade their good players away, trade away their aging veterans at the deadline, and then they use their youngins, they use their rookies for the latter half of the season, and they just actually reevaluate their entire squad while trying to win games. They're still going to lose those games, but they're at least trying, and that's what I think personally. But to each their own. Each league their own, each commissioner their own. Just make sure you have a good commissioner is what I would say. Dynasty leagues benefit those who have deeper player knowledge. In my opinion, this is where iron sharpens iron. The rosters are usually larger than a redraft league, and you got to think long term. So the only way to keep afloat would be to learn more about the rookies and the future draft classes. Backup players and breakout candidates also give a huge edge when you're thinking ahead. Off-season moves like coaching changes and team situations can also be a huge benefit. Just knowing all that stuff really helps. Something like this off-season that just happened, Clint Kubiak going to the Raiders. He's going to bring his high-powered offense to the Raiders, and then they added Linderbaum and Kirk. So that would definitely benefit the air and ground game, specifically Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. Maybe they even get some of their receivers going as well. And then knowing that the two-man run game was Kubiak's thing in Seattle, that makes you want to scoop up whoever's going to be the two in that 1-2 punch backfield when he surely brings them over, whether they draft them or they trade for somebody or they just take whatever free agent guy is there, running back that would that they could put in their system. And then the other half of that is the Seattle offense. I would think they would take a dip. Projecting they take a dip because their head coach is Mike McDonald, a defensive specialist. So the offense, everything was going through Clint Kubiak, and the replacement for Kubiak is not even like a pupil, someone who was on the coaching staff last year on Seattle's. Is actually a guy from San Francisco. It is my bad. I thought I had his name. Guess I don't have his name, sorry, but he's from the Niners. He was a tight end and run game coordinator. So their styles not even the same at all. Maybe they'll just use one running back because the Niners abuse Christian McCaffrey. They did not use Brian Robinson even after they traded for him. And their passing game would compare the Niners passing game with Seattle's passing game is nowhere near alike at all. So we'll see. I'm projecting them to take a hit, but we'll see. But that's where that type of knowledge would help you and benefit you. It would put you above your league mates. And if one guy's getting too ahead with all their knowledge, that's where the iron sharpens iron. That's where everyone else is like, hey, I got to stay engaged this off season. I got to know some stuff so I could keep up with that guy. That's usually how most of the leagues go. People get tired of losing. They get tired of one guy being so good, and they lock in, and that forces everyone else to lock in. Speaking of off season, there isn't really one for Dynasty. This should be a year-round or like cold year-round engagement. If the league is with your friends, family members, I'd suggest making a group chat, just you people, all you and your league mates, and send all the news. Maybe stir the pot a bit between your league mates, between their players, laughing at bad draft picks. This is just what you do, and you can stay engaged all year round. This is what I do, literally with all my leagues. We just make fun of each other. I got Malik Willis in a few leagues, and you guys know how I feel about him. So the day before he even signed, I was like, he's looking to get a $30 million contract. Just talking my talk, and just really rubbing people the wrong way. I love stirring the pot. It's pretty entertaining that way. And then as soon as he signed, I was like, I told you. It's not even that deep, but it's entertaining is what it is, and it keeps you and your friends talking. You stay engaged all year long. Some sleeper advice: off-season trades are the best way to get ahead. It's what I've been doing, and I've gotten ahead in 5. I think I have 5 leagues, 5 dynasty leagues, and that's how you get ahead. It's just, it's the only, it's the easiest way to get ahead, is in my opinion. I've been talking highly about the first round fantasy rookie picks this year. So I just really want, if you really want like a player like Egbuka or Burden, like I was saying in the last video, I would trade as highly as the 106, like easily, like without a second thought. If someone wants 106 for Egbuka or Burden just because they're like, dang, that's a 106 and we got 12 players, that's basically the top half of the draft. It's a middling pick. It might be good, but before the draft pick hits, or the NFL players are on actual teams, I don't love it. I don't love the 106 right now. So I'd rather get someone established like Egbuka or Burden, and maybe some guy just really likes that mystery box. They see the 1 in front of the pick, first round. They're like, oh man, I really love it. Really love this gamble. All the knowledge we know. We can have all the knowledge we have, and we can still be wrong. Me, random dynasty bro, making vids. Should definitely like have my misses, because there's real life GMs out there, real life scouts whose job is to do this, and these guys miss. Even in the first round, even in the first 3 picks. Shout out Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. It happens. That's just statistically how it goes. So if you can get rid of a pick, even a first round pick, and get an established guy, easy work. Speaking of trades, they are much more complex than redraft leagues, so there should be a lot more trades happening throughout the year in a dynasty league. You can trade future draft picks and shoot for a win now or a rebuild approach. The most engaging thing about trades is the player value. It fluctuates more dramatically over time, especially during the off season. I just seen a clip of Malik Willis throwing a tight spiral down the field. I think it was a downfield throw, probably like good 40, 50 yards, I want to say, but camera angles, and they zoom in on the ball. But it was a tight spiral, and it looks like he just learned how to throw from Favre or Rodgers. So they really got QB gurus over there in Green Bay. And then you have all the Dolphin fans pushing him up, pumping him up, comparing him to Tua. How Tua's balls were all shaky. Wouldn't go past 10 yards without shaking in the air, and you could, they know how his balls were that shaky because they like to watch his balls in slow-mo ever since he got drafted. Yes, that was very sus, but that's typically, typical lingo of a dynasty and a player and a fan. That was a real comment. Those are real comments I saw when I seen that video. These guys are for real. That's the name of the game, dude. You just got sus is funny. Sus is what's up. But that video pushed his value up. I looked on Keep Trade Cut real quick, and I seen him as high as the 104. Super flex leagues, but 104. I don't remember where we were looking at him last year. The other video, maybe late round one. I think it was 110, 112, 201. Now he's pushed up as high as the 104. I like Malik Willis. I'm trading you for the 104, baby. Dynasty also gives your league a stronger identity and even makes rivalries. Since you can keep your team yearly, you definitely get attached to your players. Hopefully not too attached, like that MVMT guy. Always in the comments. SMH, man. SMH. I'm going to verbally say it. I'm going to actually do it. And Guy gets way too attached. Rivalries will build naturally, but I do feel like in all my leagues, you just gotta hate somebody. You just gotta hate them for no other reason besides the love of the game, the love of fantasy. Sometimes you gotta pull a Baker Mayfield and just be making stuff up in your head. Hopefully you don't go to the podium and talk about whatever coach it was. I think it was the Panthers coach. I don't remember who it was. But it was a whole big thing last year, and they came back to him later in the year, and he's like, oh, maybe I just made all that stuff in my head or I exaggerated in my head. And it's like, why'd you go to the podium? What'd it do? This guy's ridiculous. But, if it's a family member, a friend group, it's a lot easier to create storylines naturally. One of my leagues with my boys, we just literally started creating storylines. Like, we would write out storylines, headliners, who got the matchup of the week, just because we were bored. We were bored, wanted to stay engaged, It's fun. Sometimes there's a tanking team in last place, and they're going against the number 1 seed, and the group chat is cheering for the underdog all week long. It's the little things, man. It makes it more fun, makes Dynasty more fun and more engaging. There's also multiple ways to win. As I was alluding to earlier, you could pick the identity and goal for your team every year, or for the year, or the foreseeable future. If you're rebuilding for a few years, good luck. Usually I like to rebuild for a year. I don't like to do it too long because now you're just waiting the long game, and you're on a 2-3 year rebuild. You better open up some more fantasy teams because you're gonna get bored. You could also go all in for the season. You say F them picks and build an aging veteran team. Go for a last dance. You could take the Leonardo DiCaprio approach and rebuild them and rebuild your team. Keep them young, under 26. Just the way he likes it. Always looking ahead and towards the future. You could be like Mike Tomlin and flex on everyone. Like, I might not win every year, but you know who's always right there? He's always positive. 10-7. What's up? 9-8. Not a losing season. Made the playoffs. I've always been here. Always competed. Never took a year off. It goes along with those narratives I was talking about with your league mates. To stay engaged, have fun. Different strategies. They can all succeed in their own different ways. While luck is always a part of fantasy football, Dynasty is much more skill-based. It rewards good decision-making over time, playing the market, selling high, buying low, adjusting mid-season to injuries for your team, or taking advantages of another team's veteran players because they're the ones who are injury-plagued, and you just got to finesse them that way. It takes a finesse, takes a skill to do that. Schmoozing. Drafting, trading, and player development matter way more than just one hot season. Even though you might be good that season, you might win the chip that year, it's a dynasty. You want to make a dynasty out of it. You don't want to just be a one-hit wonder. Lastly, winning a dynasty league just feels bigger. Higher stakes, bigger satisfaction. You built your roster over the years, make key trades and draft picks. It's just a long-term payoff, really. Take it from me. I got my trophy right here. Look how freaking, this is like a 3-foot trophy. For my first Dynasty League, I'll probably not show the names. This is F Dynasty. I got my other league. That trophy league, there's no buy-in. We just have a trophy that goes around every year, put a name on a plaque. My Bijan jersey I was wearing the other day. My friends, we put like $10, $15 in a year. And, winner at the end of the year gets a jersey. Won that thing back-to-back. I won this trophy 3 times and current back-to-back. Other league, back-to-back again. So I'm just too good, That's why I had to start a YouTube channel. I got a ring. The guy didn't send me my second ring yet. Hater. It's too good. This one isn't Dynasty, but I just want to flex on y'all real quick. Got a real WWE belt right here. Probably not my belt. Oh. Awkward cut, my bad. I knocked on it, my dog started barking. Horrible idea. But, it's a real belt right here. But this was a redraft league. Almost three-peated this last year. I'm on this belt like 4 times. What's up? This is just the flex, man. You gotta flex on your boys, flex on your friends, flex on your family members. Sometimes I just bring these to parties, or I'll go to the basketball park. We're hooping, and I'll bring all my stuff. Maybe I'll put a picture in there when I showed up all stupid that one day. Playing basketball with my boys, and I brought all my stuff. Half of this stuff isn't even from a league with them, but it's Dynasty leagues just feel that much better, I'm telling you. Redraft leagues are fun and all. I was just flexing that belt, but Dynasty leagues, like the Dynasty wins, they just feel so much better. I don't know how to explain it. Even being nowhere near the championship scene, you can still have a good year if you're rebuilding, if you're trying to get rid of your agent players, you're trying to go for that 101 rookie draft pick. You can still achieve your goal being nowhere near the championship scene. So, if you enjoy strategy, long-term thinking, and staying plugged into football all year long, Dynasty is the most immersive and engaging fantasy format for you. I hope I converted some of y'all today. Hope I got you guys more engaged. Hope you guys open up Sleeper and you join a league, start a league. If you're already in leagues, I hope you try to make a trade today. That's all. That's all I really wanted to make content for. I really think Dynasty is really fun, and I think a lot of people could have more fun with it. I think that's it for today, though. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, rebuilds fade, dynasties reign.